Well, good afternoon, everybody. Alex Dornstauder from the Corps of Engineers. That was, for me, a fascinating presentation and resonates so fabulously with what we were trying to do as well in the Corps of Engineers. And I'll try to explain that here in just a couple of minutes. But the whole notion, in my words, not yours, of every citizen and every family member and every person a flood fighter, every person a disaster mitigator. I mean, if we could get there, that would be absolutely fabulous. I mean, I just sort of want to echo and applaud that we are in violent agreement, our organizations. Now, we attack it just a little bit differently because clearly you all are at really, to use the military analogy, you are at the pointy end of the bayonet. I mean, you are really right there talking about someone crawling across splintered glass. Now, not that we are not, because we in the Corps are in your all's communities and our communities, of course. So, but we do have to look at things programmatically as well from the national headquarters, which is where I am located. So. First, if I could explain real quickly, before I take you down sort of this parade of programs that we consider mitigation. When I think, or we think of mitigation, if I had a slide, I would show you sort of this life cycle, which has 4 phases. It would be preparation for an event, response to an event, recovery from, and then mitigation for the next. So when we think of mitigation, that's the way I'm thinking of it. And sort of the things to take away from that are the interdependence of the 4 phases and the actions and the programs that we find in each. The other thing that I would show is this sort of stair-stepped slide where we have risk on one hand and a description of different actions. How we would force down the risk in collaboration with an engaged and an informed public, which is exactly what you're talking about. So those are actually 2 big takeaways, things that I sort of have to frame where we are going as a Corps, as your Corps of Engineers. The other thing that I have to describe is when we think about that, and this is all in terms of how we mitigate risk, risk of anything, natural hazard or man-made hazard or whatever the case might be. We think of it in terms of 3 elements: the threat external to that system or that piece of terrain or that asset, the vulnerability of that asset to the threat, and then the consequences of failure or partial failure of that asset. So I would like to describe, if I could, a couple of programs that we have in the Corps of Engineers that we're using for mitigation, and then close with sort of a change in Corps of Engineers culture and how we are going to address mitigation in the future. So what I thought I would do, and again, this is, I hope, non-attribution, even though we are taping it here. So let me do a sort of an aside and say everything that I say right now, my bosses don't know I'm saying. They probably, after seeing this, will think I'm probably one of the dumbest folks on the planet. So bear with me as we go through. These are my thoughts, not necessarily the organization's thoughts. So let me go through. So first, some of our mitigation programs that you may or may not have experience with and may or may not know about. So first, I would like to talk to you about a program that's in my shop called the Critical Information and Critical Infrastructure and Protection Program. It is funded through our general expense appropriation, and it deals with it deals with Department of Homeland Security. Right now, ongoing initiatives with the FBI, with Bureau of Reclamation, on how we both identify critical infrastructure across the country and then try to identify the risks, identify the consequences, investigate the vulnerabilities, and then make plans, regional plans or point-specific plans for mitigation. If I were to give that program a grade, and that's probably a $6.5 million program annually. If I were going to give a grade to that program, I would say that's probably a strong A. It's established, it's well-funded, and we are making huge progress, not only internally but externally. So, second program, our Dam and Levee Safety Program. Now, I'm assuming that you've heard something about that, but this is an ongoing program right now in this ongoing, or in next fiscal year actually, funded to several hundreds of millions of dollars, and we're doing everything from expanding our databases to actual physical kinetic work on dams and structures around the country. The levee database is being built, and we are trying, again, we have several millions of dollars to go out and explore, build a database, and then come up with, right now, a risk methodology so we can do better risk-informed investments across our entire portfolio. That program really focuses, if we go back to threat, vulnerability, and consequence, focuses on the vulnerability and the consequence aspects of it. Overall, I would say both programs together, a solid B. We are still, some aspects are established, some are a work in progress, especially on the levee safety side of the house. Programs that, another program are, and I'm not sure if we want to call it, but our levee vegetation program or linked to our levee safety program. We are in the process right now of reviewing our process for asking for a variance to the established core standards. I will not go into any of the details because it hurts me to be honest with you. And if you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to ask them, or I'd be happy to answer them after I get a couple of drinks in me. So that would be a good thing. We are probably, I would say, right now a C+ in that program. Not because we don't intend on doing the right thing or that we're not doing the right thing. It's just that it is continually right now a work in progress, and we are looking towards giving you all the chance to comment on our work sometime in the fall with a publication date sometime later, hopefully a Christmas present for everybody. So that being said, that program right now again focuses really on the vulnerability and consequence side of the house. C+, again, my grade, not anybody else. The other programs, a couple of other programs that you may or may not know about in our directorate here at headquarters USACE. In contingency operations, we have a provost marshal office, and we inspect for the vulnerability of our structures, both on military installations and off military installations. The vulnerability of those structures to potentially what bad guys might do. And that links in many other aspects of our business. That program is, for me, a solid B+, good funding, and we apply it exceptionally well around the country. So I would say that we have a solid program there. However, the sort of sea change, as we described, is with the program that we talked about earlier today in our workshop, which is our Silver Jackets program. And what that really is a delivery mechanism for a national flood risk management investment strategy in the most appropriate places, guided by your priorities and led by our states. And before I leave that, there are a couple of folks in the room. Now, you can ask me questions about that later if you care to. However, there are folks in the room that I'm going to call out that you can, after you find them, you can ask them questions. So Mr. Ed Hecker up here, my previous boss, is now my emeritus Oracle advisor, also remaining with the Corps of Engineers. And in the back of the room, or sort of in the back of the room, Jennifer Dunn, who is our National Silver Jackets Program Manager, and Ms. Manuela Johnson, who is the Indiana State Department of Homeland Security. She is the state lead for Silver Jackets. Really, our best of breed out there right now when it comes to both establishing and using this program to its best effect. And what we try to do, just the quick tabletop analogy, or if you could mind picture, would be. The state representative, Manuela, coming to the table. She has her staff, and then FEMA, Corps of Engineers, Department of Transportation, and whoever other agencies are applicable to the program. Around the table, we are presented and discussed in sort of adult fashion. This is a problem that we have. How can we leverage our authorities? How we can apply our authorities? How can we leverage our authorizations, if you will, to a problem on the ground? Either a point problem, a point issue, or what we're really looking for is a larger watershed floodplain type of approach. So that being said, and I know we're getting short on time, those are some of the programs that we're working on and some of the things that we're doing. Where I think we need some work. First, I think we need to do a better job of integrating, that is, bringing piece parts together into a whole, and synchronizing application of that stuff in space, time, and purpose to a compelling, better tomorrow, and synchronize that across the life cycle, both internally and externally. So we have to better prioritize both our efforts, prioritize where we are going to go, and do that not only within the Corps but outside the Corps at all levels. Secondly, I think we need to do a better job of interagency, intergovernmental, state, local, and federal optimization. As in a previous life, I was district engineer for Los Angeles District, and there was many times where partners would come to the office, or we would go out and visit, and they say, I have a great idea for a project, but it was it really was a point solution for a larger problem, and it was totally uninformed of this is what was going on, authorization, appropriation at the federal level, state bond actions, local referenda. So we were sort of chaotic in applying good disciplined thought to a problem. I think we need to get better at that, and we're trying, and I can talk about that later over here. I think somehow along the way, and I think Silver Jackets can help in this, that we need to develop a better, longer-term, more holistic vision of where we're going. So the old adage for me is we don't know where we're going, every road gets us there. And I would really like to, in some grown-up fashion, I think Silver Jackets, again, would be a great way to do this, is build ourselves a compelling multi-year, multi-equity, long-term vision that can pull us into an unknowable tomorrow, as opposed to us just pushing forward, as it were. And then finally, I think one of the things that we need to do better, and we're developing programs to try to do this, is applying technologies and tools to these problems. Both, I think, on the getting the message out, though what I just saw, or what we just saw in the presentation, really just fills a huge gap in my mind, and it's extremely helpful. And then the last piece is having some sort of rigorous, evidence-based long-term investment strategy, because it is, after all, our tax dollars, and we ought to be spending it. We ought to be spending the best way we possibly can. So, those are some of the things that we're doing, and some of the things I think we need to work on. Some of the places we're going into the future. I think I've linked you to some of the smart folks who can talk about both core problems, but most specifically, if you please do get a chance, ask one of the folks or myself about the Silver Jackets program. We will start gushing about the goodness of it, and there is really a lot of goodness in the program. So I'd be happy to entertain either any questions right now or save them for drinks later. I'm getting the hook, so we're saving for drinks later. So thanks very much.